Listen, points for Alonso. Hulkenberg, P5. Nice. Biggest news, though, Max, the child. We didn't see champion Max. We saw child Max, petulant Max. And I think he just dashed any chance of his championship for 2025. Are you ready to go, son?
I'm ready to go.
Hello, welcome to Hard Compound, an American take on Formula One with your host, Brian and Patrick. We just finished Spanish Grand Prix, beautiful Barcelona, pleasant Sunday. We got to see the rookies battle. We got to see Alonso, the old man, battle the rookies. We get to wonder, was Leclerc's strategy going to pay off? Would Ferrari or maybe his teammate Lewis Hamilton doom him? And then, what about Max, Red Bull, the three-stop strategy? How was that going to work out? Seemed kind of a fairly by-the-book day. Nice little pleasant Sunday out on the track. And then all hell broke loose. All right, Patrick, son, give me your take on the Spanish Grand Prix and then your top five.
Well, I think everyone's take across the board, drivers included, it's kind of like, what the fuck is he doing? And that was in regards to Max, obviously, but in regards to some battles up and down the field. I mean, Liam Lawson found himself in the side of Alex Albon at least 2 times, in the side of Ollie Behrman. I mean, he was going kind of crazy too. And there were a number of guys that were caught up in blue flag situations, getting lapped, and Lando and Max not being very pleased with how that all proceeded. I mean, there was just craziness happening all around. Seems like there's a fine line between championship mentality and childish mentality. That line was crossed today, I guess, by Max. But overall, just kind of a fun, chaotic race. Lots of different sort of strategies playing out. And ultimately, we saw the clear favorites win easily, frankly. And we saw something that we are not used to seeing, which is Mercedes continuing to have reliability issues.
Yeah. That was a shock.
Aside from the Max ordeal, those are kind of the two big stories here this weekend.
I think, these drivers, they're all divas. But Max is the worst. And I now think you've hit on a new segment. Is it championship mentality or childish mentality? And with Max, it's always just somehow blurs the line. All right, who are your top 5? Because this was an interesting race.
It was interesting. I think top 5, we got to give props to Hulkenberg. I think he'll be my driver of the day. That Sauber is not good. They were worst in terms of the constructor rankings coming into this weekend. And he managed to get up to P5. Obviously, that's after a Max penalty. But, I mean, P5 is P5.
Yeah.
He passed on track Lewis Hamilton in a Ferrari.
Yep. He took Alonso there at the start, too, because Alonso was battling and he stuck by. Yeah.
There was a lot to like about how he raced. And, I mean, the Sauber looked pretty decent on Sunday. I mean, Bortoletto also, did pretty well for himself.
Did fine. Yep.
Didn't look just so horrible. So,
Did seem the best weekend. Maybe one of the worst for Williams this year and the best for Sauber this year.
Yeah. But Hulkenberg, I think, managed really well. First points, I think, since the opening race, Australia. So, really good from him. Then I'm going to go with Oscar. I mean, he just managed the race really well, put in a pretty crazy qualifying, easily beating out his teammate Lando, who sort of, I think coming into the weekend, felt like he was on a roll, felt like it was his time to step up and breeze on past, show that he was the number 1 driver there at McLaren. And turns out Oscar is just better. So that's what happened.
You just know, though, McLaren just, Lando's their boy.
Yeah.
There's going to be some sort of conscious and or subconscious just sabotaging of Oscar. I'm anticipating this.
Could be. But I think he proved he's got it. He's going to be there at the end of the season, either well ahead of or at the very worst right alongside Lando. And I mean, just kind of an easy day at the office. He took pole and led pretty much the whole thing.
Yeah.
No real threat from anybody, including his teammate Lando. So impressive from him. Then I'm going to go with Isaac Hadjar. I mean, best Red Bull team finish in a Racing Bulls, which is impressive. And he just looked good. He looks fast. He looks comfortable. One of the more promising young drivers on the grid. I thought he raced really well. He just continues to be pretty consistent, actually.
Yeah, and with Max's penalty, so the last 2 races, he's gotten more points than Max.
Yeah, that's tough for Max and for Red Bull to have Hadjar be up there like that. But, I mean, he's just continuing to impress, so good from him. Then I gotta give old man Alonso his flowers. It seems to have been coming the last few races. This race, finally, he didn't have an issue and was able to get into the points, finally scoring his first points of the season. He looked good in qualifying. He seems happy and confident and raced well. I mean, he had to go and battle guys basically the whole race and was able to just work his way through the field. I mean, it was fun to watch him battle there and score
It
points.
was, and he loves that. I mean, he was going against Hulkenberg, against the rookies. I mean, he was doing it all in that bad car that usually lets him down.
Yeah, so that was good to see. Alonso finally scoring points. And then last of the top 5, I'm going to go with Leclerc. Getting that Ferrari up to the podium. Looks good. I don't know why Lewis can't figure out that car, but Leclerc seems to have it kind of sorted out. It's clearly not as fast as the McLarens, but aside from that, he looks well ahead of the Mercedes now. He looks comfortable, at least battling against Max. And, he looks like kind of the general favorite from now on to step up on that third step of the podium.
Yeah. And Lewis, I mean, it's 9 races in. It's like, he's 7-time world champion. 9 races in, it's like, look, you got to figure this out. And after the race, it seemed like he was like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's not the car, it's me. And, we've talked about Charles, like, he seems to sort of lack that championship medal, that will to win no matter what. But on the other side, he doesn't get rattled. Max doesn't rattle him. I mean, he gets angry sometimes at some of Ferrari's stupid actions. But, he's kind of, steady wins the race. Maybe not in F1, but you know what? I mean, he keeps piling up the points.
Yeah.
Man, Ben, just what a weird race. Your top 5, Hulkenberg, Piastri, Hadjar, Alonso, Leclerc. I don't argue with it, but it's like, that's just what a weird race this was. Now, we look at the standings. As I said, I still sort of think somehow McLaren is going to sabotage Oscar because Lando's their boy. But Oscar's now 10 up. He's got 186 points. Lando 176. Max, what do you get? 1 point. Man, Red Bull. Both Red Bulls finished. They come away with 1 point. He's now at 137. That's almost 50. That's 49, right? I think it's done.
Yeah.
And then Russell at 111, Leclerc at 94. I mean, that was Max's fault, his clash with George. And people are going to say, oh, well, he was upset at his team, the hard tires, 3-stop strategy, the car's not doing what he wants. He was upset because they're like, oh, you got to give George position back. And it turned out he probably didn't have to. But it's like, look, man, you were told to give position back. After arguing, you're like, okay, I'll do it. George starts coming around you and you hit him. I mean, these are F1 cars. You can't be doing that. And I think he's dashed his chances, don't you think? I mean, we said it's Max Verstappen. As of last week, even we're like, hey, it's Max Verstappen. If his car is okay, he will be in the championship fight. Now, just 9 races in, I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, closing in on half a season, right? And he's almost 50 points back. But I think there wasn't strong belief that he could win a championship this year before this race. And that's just based on how much better McLaren are than any other team. And Red Bull isn't even the second best team. And yeah, so really the only saving grace was that, like, oh, Max is just that incredible. And this race kind of showed like it can get away from him. You know, he can get so worked up that like he just does something dumb, and that results in him just getting further behind now instead of what used to happen, which was other people got closer to him. Now it's like, oh, you're falling further behind.
Yeah. But, I mean, I've long talked up Max. And I'm like, Max is the Michael Jordan of F1. The talent that ranks amongst the best ever with a competitive drive that's the best ever. And, I say like, oh, Brazil 2024, that's like his Michael Jordan's game 6. It's like, oh, he's just so good. He's going to find a way to win. Now I'm like, who I'm watching? This is Tiger Woods. Thanksgiving Day, leaving his mistress's home, maybe with a little too many cocktails. He's never the same again. I mean, this is where it's sort of like, hey, that drive, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win, turned into, well, if I can't win, I'm just going to take my toys and go home. And I think this might mark a shift.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. What a weird experience, I guess, to watch it, because it was so unlike how he got to where he was or where he is, winning his championships. I mean, he was so much better. And even if he was towing the line or even sometimes across the line, it wasn't just, I'm angry and I'm going to smash your car
Right.
for really no reason. Like, I'm just angry and I'm going to hit you. It was always like, I'm angry and I'm not going to let you do what you want. But this was different. Yeah, it was like, I'm not going to let you do what you want, but I'm just going to be a nuisance, and a dangerous nuisance, I guess.
Yes. Because I watched live, was on Sky Sports feed, and Nico Rosberg was giving, color commentary, and he's so good. I wish he was there every race, really. And he was shocked. He was shocked when Max went after George. And even trying to downplay it, he still felt like, well, that's more than, 10 seconds. You're done. You're up. Maybe you get put to the back. You get no points. Maybe race ban. I don't know what. And then I happened just before the recording of this, watch the F1 TV version. Joel, he's good. Joel Palmer. And he was, in real time watching when it happened live, he was shocked as well. It's like, you cannot do this. Like, I'm at the point where it's like, is there going to be pressure? Because the stewards have already ruled, no, 10-second penalty, that's it, which pushes them down to 10th place. But, I mean, even former drivers are saying, like, nope, this cannot be allowed. This is not competitive racing. This is just recklessness on the track. I mean, there's 2 weeks until Montreal. I think he might get something more.
Yeah. It seems sort of like maybe he should, right? He has often towed the line and kind of just sort of stepped over it on occasion, or perhaps quite frequently. And that's almost necessary as a driver. And I think, we've seen Hamilton do that when he was consistently winning championships. And he was like, nope, I'm just right on the line, maybe over it a little bit, but I'm doing what it takes to win. We've seen Alonso defend like that for 20 years. We saw Liam Lawson in this race. I think he did a pretty good job of towing that line and maybe edging over it, but ultimately it was like, I think that's okay, or maybe like a 5-second penalty, but it's not egregious. This was like, you're just trying to take George out.
Right.
You are saying, if I can't be third place, then I don't give a shit. You also are not going to be third place because you're going to be out of this race. And that's obviously unacceptable and really has not been Max's MO. I mean, it was weird to see.
I almost wonder now, I mean, if the fact that George finished, that Max, when he hit him, if that had done enough damage where George couldn't finish the race, then I think there would have been a much harsher penalty. I think maybe the steward's like, well, he finished the race, so I guess it wasn't so bad. He didn't lose anything, but it's like, I don't know. Team standings real quick, because it sure seems like the constructors is done. McLaren is at 362. Ferrari leaped Mercedes, but 165. I mean, that's half. It's less than half. I mean, it seems like it's done, right? Especially, Lewis not really figuring out what the hell is going on. I just don't see it. Mercedes, 159. Red Bull, 144. Like I said, 1 point this week. Both cars finish. They get 1 point. That's a shocker. Then Williams, terrible week for Williams. 54. They're stuck at 54. I guess that's my question. The constructors is over, right?
I think so.
Basic.
Yeah. Let me check really quick. How many points?
You win, it's about 50 plus, or, because it's sort of like first, second, and there might be a sprint. So I don't know how that could average out over. There's 15 more weekends.
Yeah. But so McLaren last year won the constructors title with 666 points. They are well over half of that, 9 races in.
With a much superior car than last year versus the competition.
So, yeah, it seems highly unlikely that Ferrari can pull that back. It seems like they've sort of figured out their situation a little bit, but they're really not competing for these wins as of yet. McLaren is the only team that looks like they can win, at least consistently.
Well, and you brought this up earlier, because when Kimi Antonelli went into the gravel, I was like, man, it's been a bad few weeks. He looked so good as a rookie, but the past few weeks he hasn't looked good. And I was like, what'd you do? But then they show, it's like, no, it's his power unit. The car just died on him. And it's like, man, just 3 years ago, Mercedes, it's like, look, not only the most dominant car, but the most reliable. It never died on them. And this is now keeps happening. And it's not like, oh, they're trying something new. They've done something innovative, where it's like, oh, they're going for the win. It's like, no, you're a second, third, fourth place car and not reliable. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, it's weird. A little concerning. That, I think, is my only concern if I'm McLaren, right? Because Mercedes supplies their power units. Mercedes has obviously had some power unit troubles over the last several races. That might be just a cooling issue. And so maybe McLaren has already kind of resolved it. I don't know. But that's really the only thing I think Ferrari can bank on at this point, is like, oh, they're also going to run into these issues that Mercedes is having. And so we can gain a bunch of points back on them if that happens. But other than that, it really doesn't look like Ferrari's going to put up much of a fight like they did last year. And Mercedes is struggling. Not only does it look like they do have these reliability issues consistently, but they're no longer faster than Ferrari, which they were the first, 5-6 races of the season. Yeah. So if that's the case, then, they're certainly probably not getting into P2, let alone challenging for the title. So
right. Now, I said Red Bull 1 point. Is this it for Yuki? Like you said, it's that second seat at Red Bull. It's like, it's what wearing the red jersey and red shirt for Star Trek. It's like, hey, Kirk, Spock, McCoy, we're all going down. Hey, buddy. Hey, Yuki, you come down with us. Hey, he's got the red jersey on. He's got the red shirt on. Poor kid's all hopeful going down the new planet. He's doomed. I don't know. I mean, and Liam Lawson has outqualified him since the swap, which, people say, oh, well, they built a car around Max. Oh, they built a team around Max. I'm like, look, these are F1 drivers. If Max can get in that thing in the top 5 regularly, your teammate should be able to get that in the top 10. And he's being outqualified by rookie Liam Lawson in the Racing Bulls. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly a challenging car to set up and drive fast. Nobody really has been able to do it aside from Max. So he is comfortable driving in a certain style, and that ends up being quick generally. But if you're not really comfortable doing that, which it seems like pretty much nobody else is, then you're going to be slow. And that's what everybody else has been getting into that car. I'll say this, though. Red Bull's not shown promise as a team as a whole this season. And, the last 3 drivers in that car were Sergio Perez, a perennial mid-pack driver that they threw in there to be a number 2. Liam Lawson, who had like 6 races under his belt before getting in that car. And now Yuki, who was always fair. So it's not like they're throwing in the greatest drivers that they can find to be in that second seat. So I really don't think we've seen a fair comparison to Max, really. But Yuki, I think we sort of knew, even before this season, we said, well, Yuki's simply not good enough to be in that second seat. That's maybe no shame towards him, but it's a fact. And I don't think Liam Lawson maybe isn't either, which is why he got demoted.
Maybe. Yeah, and the fact is, like, well, people say, oh, well, maybe he can come down. Maybe they'll put Adjar there. He comes back down. But I see no point in keeping Yuki at Racing Bull. I mean, the relationship with Honda is going to be ending. It's like, look, he's a mid-pack driver in a mid-pack car. He's been doing this for years. Give somebody else a chance. I mean, I know it's unfair, but hey, F1's unfair. So, no, let's take a break here and talk about Lance Stroll.
Ugh.
Lance Stroll did not race, and nobody missed him. He said he had hand injury, though you notice whenever he has an injury, it always comes so late where the reserve driver can't step in the car, because we all know the fucking reserve driver will show him up. Okay. And now there's like 2 weeks till Canada. But I don't know, the rumors were saying like this wasn't just from an old injury. This was like him throwing temper tantrums in the paddock. His dad owns a team, so they're all probably going to like just turn away and accept it. But it's like, look, you're a dick and the reserve driver is better than you. And just because it's daddy's team, it looks like, maybe after a while, you need to move into a different position because F1 driver is not it.
Yeah, I don't know, like, what he gets out of it. Like, if it were me, I got daddy's money. I can travel around the world as it is, doing cool shit. Like, I'm not winning anything. I'm never going to win anything. It's kind of hard work to be a driver. Like, you got to put in some effort. And losing is kind of fucking embarrassing. And everybody knows you're not very good. So, like, why would you keep doing it? Just stop. Just go do something else with your life. I don't know. Enjoy other things. And, give up on this dream because it's not happening, okay? As it is, you can't buy your way to a win in F1. It's not happening. You still need to have some semblance of talent in order to get there. And he's not at the peak of F1. It's not going to happen. So, yeah, I think nobody missed him. And I think that team is regressing still. It's embarrassing. I'm pretty sure now they're actually last in the constructor standings. That might not be true. I think Alpine's worse.
I think Sauber's
Alpine's
still
worse.
Oh, yeah, I think Alpine, yeah. Alpine just sucks.
But, that's shameful. And probably a lot of that has to do with like a shitty working environment for all these people working at Aston because they got to deal with the Strolls and they're pieces of shit. So, like, look, it's not going to get turned around. You need to move on. Aston and Alpine are like these two horribly run, seemingly, organizations that are going nowhere. And the easiest thing seems like to turn around Aston is to get the hell rid of Lance Stroll and then maybe for Lawrence Stroll just to like hand it off to somebody else to run that team because it's not going well for him right now.
All right, switching to the soft compound. We started this years ago, trying to get more Americans into watching F1, give an American perspective on Formula One, and succeeded in that way, I think. Now I'm wondering, is F1 too American? I mean, Lewis Hamilton showed up at, I think it was in Spain, some event just before the race weekend, wearing a $1.5 million watch. Now, if I had Lawrence Stroll money, I still wouldn't be wearing a $1.5 million watch. But Lewis Hamilton, he's Lewis Hamilton. He shows up in a $1.5 million watch. But I'm like, hey, buddy, read the room. This is not that F1 anymore. This is the F1 now because they've just signed big deals with Disney, with Pepsi, not even Coke, Pepsi, Gatorade, Doritos. And I'm sort of regretting talking up the American takeover of Formula One just a little bit because I'm like, all right, I didn't want America to take it over so badly, where there's Doritos and Gatorade, Well, I mean, do we need to pull back on the Americanness of F1 a little bit, Patrick?
I mean, yes, maybe some of the Americanness is over the top, right? I mean, it would be a little bit hilarious to have like a big Doritos car driving around the streets of Monte Carlo, right? Like,
and it's like NASCAR, Doritos and Pepsi logos on these things.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we just need to go back to like Marlboro and
right.
And have Camel ads and you know what? Throw in like a High Life on there. Like, there you go.
Right, little Miller High Life. Yeah. Forget your Heineken NA non-alcohol
nobody
beer.
cares about that. We want the champagne of beers, okay?
Right. We're showing up with Miller and some Doritos with that, like, what is that, like that fake cheese sauce that like they put, on the ball games, that liquid cheese,
Yeah, just
show
have
up in
like a
Alpine
Cheese
event with
Whiz
that.
ad, on the side of a McLaren. But no, I mean, I think some of those things are maybe a little bit over the top, and it's kind of getting away a little bit from the spirit of F1. I think F1 and America kind of share that sense of globality and sort of like they want to take the best of everywhere. And I think in that sense, like the American takeover has sort of succeeded. We are working towards a more sort of inclusive environment in F1 where we're going to different locations. They're adding new sponsors, new teams. There are more discussions with American manufacturers and other sort of global companies, that kind of thing, that are improving how the sport is.
But what we see with F1, and this is kind of a downside of capitalism, I think, is it's like it's nearly impossible to turn down money. It's nearly impossible to say no to growth. And Steve Jobs, when he was running Apple, that was kind of the one last ditch company to where like, maybe let's just tamper it down. No, we want to still be the best at what we're doing, even if that costs us a bit of money, a bit of growth. And I mean, Apple since has turned that way, but because it's nearly impossible. Nobody can turn down money. And I think this is interesting because I think we're at this shift, this sort of percolating cultural shift where companies, communities, countries are all saying, wait, you know what? Growing GDP, just for the sake of growing GDP, just sort of believing growing GDP is everything. More money is everything. Growth is everything. Maybe it's not. And so I think, I'm kind of curious to see what F1 will be like in a couple of years, because right now they're still in the sort of the late stage mode. It's like, nope, more money, bring it. More growth, bring it. Though having said that, like, hey, is it becoming too American? Last week we were talking about how Europeans were trashing Monaco, but we Americans were saying, no, that's for us, that's the race we want to keep. You may say it's not very good racing, but for us, it's like, no, that's our view of Europe. Old Europe, glamour, glitz, yachts, the beautiful people. And I think we might be on something. I saw it was the third highest rated F1 broadcast in American history. So
Yeah, I mean, we're all Gatsby at heart, right? I mean, it's we all want that. Unfortunately, it's maybe not something that all of us can have.
What about some dirty air? Rumors that Christian Horner is going to be poached by Ferrari. Ferrari wants to get rid of Vasseur and bring him on. Do you think there's any truth to the rumors, and would that succeed?
I don't know if there's any truth to the rumors. I know that Vasseur is not like a typical Ferrari team principal. He was kind of a goofy guy and had his own sort of way of doing things. And people were hesitant to sort of accept him as the Ferrari boss. But Horner is he doesn't play by Ferrari rules either. So to me, that would be dumb. That's just going to be another clash where Vasseur, I think, kind of can play both sides. Horner doesn't do that. He's got his way of doing things, and if you tell him to do something else, he does not care. And I think that works, or at the very least worked at Red Bull, but at Ferrari, I don't think that flies. And so I don't see any reason for Ferrari to pursue Christian Horner. I don't think it'll work if he does join that team. So.
Across the line, that's our segment where we predict the top 5 for the next race. The next race is in Montreal, Canada in 2 weeks. Now in Across the Line, we make our prediction for the top 5. If our driver does finish in the top 5, we get a point. If he finishes in the exact right spot, we get 3 points. Before we make our predictions, Patrick, what are the current standings of Across the Line?
Okay, so coming into this race, you are leading 31-27, and you will still have a 4-point lead after this weekend. We both scored 4 points. Top 5 ended up being Piastri, Norris, Leclerc, Russell, Hulkenberg. Your predictions from last week were Norris, Hamilton, Leclerc, Albon, Ocon. So you got 1 point for Norris, 3 for Leclerc since he finished in P3 where you had him. And then I had Piastri, Verstappen, Russell, Sainz, Lawson. So I got 3 for Oscar, P1, and 1 for Russell. So 4 apiece brings our totals to 35 for you, 31 for me.
All right. Well, last year at Montreal, it was Max, then Lando, then George. Nice little Red Bull, McLaren, Mercedes. 3 of the top younger drivers. All right. What do we think for this year, Patrick? Who goes first?
Well, I go first. And this race last year, as I recall, was an absolute mess for Leclerc. After his Monaco win, he had just a dismal few weeks and ended up on slicks, on wet. I don't know what was going on. But I'm going to say Ferrari finds their form and Leclerc wins this race.
Oh, nice. Well, then I'm going to go for a repeat of Barcelona. Oscar 1, Lando 2.
Ooh, stepping outside the box there.
Well, my outside the box is I think Max is going to get penalized and won't be allowed to race. And so he won't even make it in the top
That
5.
would be an interesting one.
A bit of a crazy prediction.
I wonder if, because they haven't really done that before. I mean, he was already given license penalty points, right? So could they tack on more and just be like, all right, you're done for a race?
Well, I think he's got 11. If he gets 12 by the end of June, there's 2 races in June, Montreal, and I think it's Austria. Then, yeah, that's 1 race ban. But I think what's going to happen is because there's going to be so much pressure from team principals, from drivers, others, former drivers, that they're going to say, nope, you're out of this race. You're out of the next race.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because I think that's reasonable because it was so egregious. It's like, dude, you just take a seat. All right, you gotta calm down. This is absurd. But at the same time, like, I don't like just making up rules. You know, like, look, he was already penalized. You can't just make up rules and be like, actually, we're going to penalize you more now. So that would be interesting if that does happen. And I think would lead to a whole stir, which would be kind of fun to see.
It would.
So,
yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know. P2, you took both McLarens. I don't have faith that the Mercedes can finish the race. So I'm going to take Lewis, I guess, P2. And then I am going to say Albon. He is a fierce comeback and gets on the podium in
Wow. You did not take Max as I expected there. I'm going to go with it's Canada. Lawrence Stroll's Canadian. I don't think Lance Stroll will be racing, but I think they're going to have a fine showing. So I'm going to go with Alonso on P3 and George Russell P4.
Nice. I am going to take Max P4 and Hajar P5.
Nice. So you have for Montreal Charles Leclerc, his teammate Lewis Hamilton, Alex Albon, Max Verstappen, and Isaac Hadjar. I have Oscar Lando 1-2 for McLaren, Fernando Alonso, George Russell, and I'm going to go with Pierre Gasly.
Ooh, interesting.
Any crazy predictions, Patrick?
I do have a slightly crazy prediction. So there was a whole big kerfuffle amongst F1 fans today because on the grid walk that Martin Brundle usually does, but he wasn't there this week. So another Sky Sports reporter was doing the grid walk, tried to interview an English soccer. It's not fucking football. It's soccer player, Bukayo Saka, who plays for Arsenal. And like, dude was having none of this interview. He was like, nah, leave me alone. You know, which F1 fans typically are like, dude, if you're on the grid, like you're going to get interviewed. Okay. You got to talk to people. And so they were all up in arms. Anyways, I think at some point this season, whether it's in Austin or Las Vegas or maybe some other race somewhere, Taylor Swift is going to be on the grid. Somebody is going to try to interview her. She will refuse, and this will draw the ire of many an F1 fan. And there will be a massive online clash between all the Swifties and these F1 fans that care so much about the grid walks.
Funny.
And this will lead to a full episode of Drive to Survive on the grid walk and all the celebrities that are typically there and the backlash that it caused Taylor Swift, who then is going to write a fucking song about it, you know, and like all this stuff is going to happen. So I think there's going to be major grid walk fallout later this year because Taylor Swift is going to refuse an interview from Martin Brundle.
Funny. Wasn't there rumors like Alonso and Taylor Swift dating?
Yeah,
It seems like Taylor Swift is okay. I think I've heard of her name in F1 circles in the past few years. So that's funny. My crazy predictions are not so crazy. They're calculated. This year was the big shift. Lewis going to Ferrari, Sainz having to go to Williams, a bunch of rookies. This was the big year. But I think it's next year. 2026, new regulations. It's a whole new world in F1. And I think we are going to have several new drivers because I think Lance Stroll is out. I think, what you were saying earlier, he's out. He's done. There's no need and no reason for Lance Stroll to be in F1. I think Alpine sucks so bad that they'll destroy the careers of two rookies in F1, Doohan and Colapinto. I think they're both out. And I think Yuki's out because it's like, look, you're not the right guy in that second seat in Red Bull, and there's no need for you to be at Racing Bulls.
Interesting. Honestly, I kind of think Alpine's just going to fold. I think they're not even going to finish this fucking season. They're like, man, you know what? We're done. We're French. We can do what we want. We're done.
Maybe some Americans, some Hollywood folks will come buy him up. I don't know.
Pierre Gasly's going to be like, what the fuck do I do, man? I don't understand what's happening. How is Ocon doing so well? This guy's a piece of shit. Pierre Gasly.
Funny.
Poor Pierre Gasly.
All right. I want to thank you all for listening to everybody's most beloved father and son F1 podcast. It is much appreciated, and we are lights out.
See ya. Thanks for listening.
You just finished listening to Hard Compound, recorded in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and around the world.